Now, let's remind you that the Department of State Services has said a team of joint security operatives raided the home of Yoruba Nation agitator Sunday Adeyemo, also known as Sunday Igboho. The DSS said 13 persons were arrested while several weapons were recovered. And joining me now to discuss the state of the nation, the arrest of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu and the raid on Sunday Igboho's home is Executive Director, Citizens Advocacy for Social and Economic Rights, Frank Tete. Good to have you join us, Frank Tete.
Thank you, and always my pleasure.
All right, so let's get your reaction to this separate situation. First is the rearrest of Nnamdi Kanu, and then we also saw the DSS now owning up, saying that he actually did go to the house of Sunday Igboho yesterday. So let's get your reaction to both, with the understanding that both individuals are asking for self-determination.
All right, thank you very much. It's just the Nigerian state trying to assert itself that there is no other power, there is no other sovereignty other than the one that it has. The country has been faced with doubts and descriptions that it's a failed state. It's not able to assert its authority to the extent that we have persons claiming parallel sovereignties, parallel governments, claiming that they want to form their own state other than the Nigerian state. So we have just come to see that the might of the Nigerian state has just been exercised, even outside the shores of Nigeria, in a foreign country. Even though we don't have all the details, the Nigerian government, Nigerian state, I must make that distinction, because you find that those involved, particularly in this latest raid on Sunday Igboho's house, happens to be the agent of the state, that is the Department of State Services. So to a large extent, is a welcome development for those who want to see the Nigerian state remain and become a better governed.
Right, so the accusation here for Sunday Igboho, according to the DSS, is that he was allegedly stockpiling weapons for insurrection against, the country. And we've seen comments and statements put out by Nnamdi Kanu on social media. The government has also blamed him for the several attacks in the in the southeast rather. So when you look at the reaction from the government for both cases, talk to us about whether you think that this is a proportional response.
Well, I try to make a distinction between the state and the government. The government has a great responsibility to the extent that it should govern Nigeria well so that we won't have elements who are renegades to the extent that they want to carry out secessionist movements. That is to that extent. But the Nigerian state must remain. It's recognized as an international entity. And one of the fundamental ways it can assert its existence is that there is an ultimate power, the sovereignty that lies in the people. That has been eroded seriously with the secessionist bids by Sunday Igboho and Nnamdi Kanu. But what have resulted to these, secessionist movement is as a result that we don't have the kind of governance that, generates confidence in the polity, to the extent that people will no longer feel that the elements of secessionists, will now be the ones that are attracting them from the Nigerian state. If Nigeria is governed very well, the people like Nnamdi Kanu and Sunday Igboho will not be this popular. They will not be able to exploit this, this dissatisfaction, general dissatisfaction in the polity. So what has happened is we've seen agents of the state trying to assert that Nigeria still exists. It has a population, it has a sovereignty, it's a sovereign country of its own, irrespective of the discontentment that has been expressed by the Nnamdi Kanu movement or the Sunday Igboho. Now, these things came as a result of the gross form of insecurity that Nigeria has experienced. Now, we have seen the gusto and the expertise with which these state authorities, particularly the DSS or the National Intelligence Agency, have deployed state resources in ensuring that a citizen that is a threat to the Nigerian state was brought to book, and then an invasion of someone that is thought to be a threat to Nigerian sovereignty. One would have also seen, like it is popularly said, that these same resources ought to have been applied to assure Nigerians that we have a functional state, a functional Nigerian state in place. And let me be honest with you, the average Nigerian wants to be under a Nigerian state that can protect him or her, that wants to assure him that there is a tomorrow. But when these hopes are fallen in the minds of the Nigerian citizen, they begin to look to these elements which are rather destabilizing. But it's good news. It's good news as far as I'm concerned that the the agents of the state can assert their force to the extent of bringing these elements to order. But I hope that the government takes a cue that it doesn't need to allow the state to waste its resources in looking for criminals, alleged criminals to this extent, but it should put more
Mr. Frank Tete, sorry, I have to interrupt you, and I
for all of this.
Sorry, I have to interrupt you. I really hate to do that, but I want to ask you, because we've seen, and the government has blamed Nnamdi Kanu for those attacks on critical facilities in the southeast. Do you think that the government should wait for things to deteriorate for that, bearing in mind that Nnamdi Kanu actually did jump bail? He was under trial when all of that happened. Sunday Igboho has also made statement whether his house should be raided. His house, and the DSS has said his house wasn't raided for those statements, but his house was raided because they believe he was stockpiling weapons. So do you think that the federal government should have waited for things to deteriorate further before reacting?
I don't think so. I do not think so. I think every responsible government will act in a manner that will safeguard the sovereignty of the Nigerian state. And that's what the DSS or the National Intelligence Agency have done. Now, the idea is this. Once there is an intelligence report to the extent that these elements are stockpiling weapons, or there is a particular personality outside this country that is threatening the stability of Nigeria, these agencies ought to act. They don't need to wait. But most importantly, they must act according to law. What the debate in the open space right now is that was Nnamdi Kanu properly arrested and extradited? It is not a very strange thing. In our country, in history, we have had politicians being accused of plotting coups against governments of Nigeria, and they fled this country, and they were also arrested abroad and subjected to proper legal processes and were extradited. I'm talking about Chief Anthony Enahoro. He was extradited to Nigeria properly. So it's not as if the international community was protecting Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. What is important is that we should be a government that governs according to law, and then those agents of the state who are acting very very efficiently right now, doing everything possible to assert the authority and the sovereignty of Nigeria, must also go to the extent of assuring Nigerian citizens that it is better for us to live in Nigeria rather than following secessionist elements who don't have anything to offer. But when the Nigerian government continually fails to deliver on the responsibilities of government to the people, then we will continue to have these elements and becoming popular, and then we will now continue to also waste resources looking for them abroad or raiding their houses wherever in this country. And I think sincerely that will not be necessary if we have a government that is alive and well to its responsibility to the people.
All right. We will see how the government reacts to all of these comments coming from different quarters and the call on the agitations in the coming days. Thank you so much for talking to us as always. Executive Director of Citizens Advocacy for Social and Economic Rights, Frank Tete.
Thank you, and always my pleasure.